This video will be demonstrating how the assessment of motor and process skills, or AMPS, is used. So before we get started today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what AMPS is. So the AMPS is a standardized performance analysis that allows practitioners to evaluate the quality of a person's performance of ADLs in a natural, task-relevant environment. It is different from other ADL assessments because the items scored on the AMPS are ADL performance skills. Performance skills are universal, goal-directed ADL motor and ADL process actions that are compiled to enact ADL task performances. More specifically, performance skills are the smallest units of observable actions that are linked together one after another in the process of executing a daily life task performance. So the AMPS is comprised of 16 motor skills and 20 process skills. So motor skills are going to be the observable, goal-directed actions that people perform during ADL task performance in order to move themselves or the task objects. Some examples of motor skills are walking, transporting objects, reaching for and manipulating objects, and also positioning the body. The 16 motor skills are divided into 4 different categories, which include body position, obtaining and holding objects, moving self and objects, and sustaining performance. So process skills will be skills that refer to the ability of an individual to logically sequence the actions of the ADL task performance over time. So some examples of process skills would be initiating and sequencing actions, using appropriate tools and materials, accommodating actions when problems are encountered. So the 20 process skills are going to be divided into 5 different categories, which include sustaining performance, applying knowledge, temporal organization, organizing space and objects, and adapting performance. So this assessment overall takes about 30 to 60 minutes to administer, and it can be used with any type of diagnoses or disability. It can also be used on the well population or on people that have not yet received a formal diagnosis. It is appropriate to use on individuals ages 2 and up. So as far as how the AMPS is administered, first the OT will conduct an interview with the client and obtain information about what daily performances are of most concern. So the ADL skills that are used during this assessment will be actually chosen by the client, and they're based off of what the client stated they may be having difficulties with. So as far as scoring for the AMPS, the scoring is based on the quality of performance that's relative to the motor and process skills that are needed to engage in the task. They're going to be scored along a 4-point ordinal scale, where 4 would mean that the client is competent and they're performing the task without evidence of increased effort or lack of safety. A 3 would mean that the client is questionable in their performance of the task. A 2 would mean that they are ineffective and that the performance disrupts or interferes with the action. And then a 1 would mean that they have a deficit when they are performing that task. So before we get started today, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what the patient history is of the patient that we will be assessing using the AMPS. So her name is Angie, and she is a 25-year-old woman post-left ischemic stroke. Her level of functioning was relatively normal 3 months ago before her stroke, and she lives alone in a 2-story townhome. So she is unable to currently get upstairs, so she lives only on the 1st story of her townhome, and her main complaint going into today is right-sided weakness, mostly localized to her upper extremities. So today what we'll be doing in the video is using the AMPS to assess the 16 motor skills and 20 process skills that are used while she is performing each of the tasks.
Alright, Angie, my name's Alex. I'm going to be your occupational therapist today. And today we're going to do the assessment of motor and processing skills. Basically, it's an assessment that looks at the activities you do throughout the day at your house. And we just watch and see if there's any strategies that we can come up with to cope with whatever you're having difficulty with, and just make those things easier for you. Is that alright?
Yes, that's awesome.
Alright, so tell me a little bit about the things you do.
So ever since I've been home after, after my stroke, I've had problems doing a few things independently living here in this 2-story place. I've been usually staying downstairs because I can't. It's kind of hard for me to get up the stairs.
Okay.
It's mostly difficulties with using my right arm and hand. I have been doing physical therapy to strengthen my right leg, so my main goal is to get my strength back in my right arm.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like basically what's going on.
Can you tell me some specifics of what you're having difficulty with?
Specifically, I have had some problems with reaching down to put my socks and shoes on, so I've been resorting to wearing sandals here lately because it's hard for me to tie my own shoes without someone helping me.
Okay.
Yeah, I have, but I really want to start wearing tennis shoes again. So some other things that I've been struggling with lately is, for example, sweeping the floor. It's kind of hard for me to get down on the floor and being able to hold the dustpan and make sure I get all of the dirt in the dustpan. It's pretty tough for me to do it because I want it to be done my way, so it's just pretty hard without being able to use my right hand. I also struggle with doing the dishes because every time I turn the water on and I'm trying to do the dishes, it just splashes everywhere. And it's just so annoying. Sometimes I get very frustrated. And like when I'm trying to make my lunch or my dinner, whatever I'm doing, I've been trying to resort to easy packaging things that I can just like automatically open, put it in the microwave or the oven or whatever. But I've been trying to do stuff on my own now, so I'll demonstrate today how to make a peanut butter and jelly.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's go ahead and start doing these then.
Awesome.
Okay. Angie, can you show me how you put on your socks?
Yeah, sure. My right foot's kind of tough, so.
Alright, now I want you to show me how you put on your shoes.
Okay. I've usually been wearing sandals because the tennis shoes are just kind of hard to put on.
Okay, no problem.
And I can't tie them, so I just kind of leave them loose and I'll Velcro them instead.
Okay. Okay, Angie, can you show me how you sweep the floor when you clean the house?
Sure. I kind of struggle with this one.
Okay.
This is probably my hardest task to do. Especially like when no one's here to help me.
I understand.
Uh-oh, I stepped in the pile. That tends to happen sometimes. Am I taking too long?
No, you're doing good.
Okay. Now I have to get the dustpan. I'm gonna switch. This is kind of easier for me to use when I'm down on the floor.
Alright.
I think that I'm gonna have to use my foot. Yeah, this is what I usually do.
Okay, Angie, now I want to see you clean the dishes.
Okay. I didn't need to do that.
Okay, Angie, I want to see how you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Okay. This might be a little bit. This is like probably another hard thing for me to do. We'll come over here where I get a knife. Well, we need two. One for the peanut butter and one for the jelly. And I tend to try to use paper plates because washing dishes is just too much for me to do without a dishwasher.
Yeah.
Yeah. My bread usually goes bad because I can never get the thing back on. So if my roommate's not here, then I just cannot. This is pretty hard for me to do, is opening the peanut butter. It takes me a minute to get a grip on it, but when I do, there we go. Just give me one moment, please. Whoops. go now. I just get so aggravated. I just tend to eat like things that I can just pop open really quick with one hand, like string cheese, good snag to eat. Just doing all of this is just so hard for me. Oh, this is what I mean. Whoops. Alright, so now what I do is I will poke it and I'll turn it right on top. And then just to make it easier for me to hold and just handle, I will cut it just like this.
So as far as scoring goes for the AMPS, this is just an example of an AMP score form that we filled out according to task J1 when Angie was sweeping the floor in her house. So the first part of this form is just going to be some of the client's information, who the practitioner is, and the second part is going to be rating the person's quality of performance on this task. So there's 4 separate parts. There's increased effort, decreased efficiency, decreased safety, and assistance provided. And then each of these is rated on a scale of 1 to 6 according to how they performed. The next part of this task is just some notes, and we noted during this task that Angie was able to accommodate without using her right arm and hand while she was sweeping the floor. However, she stated that she tires easily, and it was noticeable that she takes longer than it should have to sweep just a small area in her townhome. So as far as page 2 on the AMP score form goes, this is going to have those 16 ADL motor skills and the 20 ADL process skills listed, and they will each be rated on a scale of 1 to 4. A 4 means that the client is competent when they perform the task without evidence of increased effort, decreased efficiency, or lack of safety. If they score a 3, then the examiner questions the effectiveness and the performance is scored questionable. If the client scored a 2, this means that they had an ineffective performance that disrupted or interfered the action. And if the client is to score a 1, that means they are marked deficient performance and it impedes the action of progression or yields unacceptable outcome. So for each of these, you just go through and score them accordingly, and that is how the AMPS is scored.